Welcome to the Dungeon Master's Bag of Holding. Today we're diving into the stats and story of another amazing D&D character. From their abilities to their backstory, we'll break down everything that makes them unique. Get ready to be inspired for your next adventure. Let's dive in!
Today's featured character is none other than Elara Dawnshadow, a human ranger at level 1. She may be early in her adventuring career, but trust me, her story and skills make her stand out. Let's break down her stats and what makes her such a versatile character to play. First off, Elara's HP stands at a solid 12. That's 10 from her ranger hit dice, plus 2 more thanks to her constitution modifier. She's got a decent AC of 14, thanks to her leather armor and her quick reflexes, boosted by a plus 3 dexterity modifier. Elara has the Outlander background, meaning she's spent her life surviving in the wild, and as a neutral good character, she values doing the right thing, but on her own terms. She is someone who follows her heart and seeks harmony above all else. Now, let's dig into what really makes Elara stand out, her personality and ideals. Elara is the definition of calm under pressure. In the midst of danger, when others may panic, she holds her ground with quiet confidence. She's not one for grand speeches or boasting. Instead, her actions speak volumes. What sets her apart is her empathy. She feels deeply for others, and this connection to those in need fuels her decisions. She's the type to help the wounded and shelter the lost without expecting anything in return. When it comes to Elara's ideals, balance is everything. She believes the world works best when things are in harmony, with nature, with others, and within herself. She doesn't force her will onto others, but she strives to keep peace and order in the natural world. Elara is fiercely protective of the few friends she does have, and that's no surprise given her backstory. She lost her family young, and because of that, her friends are her family now. If you are one of the few Elara calls a friend, you can bet she'll fight tooth and nail to protect you, especially if it involves defending the forest, which she treats almost like a second home. But Elara's journey hasn't been without challenges. One of her deepest flaws is her tendency to emotionally isolate herself. After losing her family, she built walls around her heart to protect herself from future pain. While she's loyal to her friends, she finds it difficult to open up fully, always fearing that more loss is just around the corner. On top of that, Elara feels out of place in city environments. The hustle and bustle of urban life just doesn't resonate with her. Her heart belongs to the wilderness, and the sounds of nature are where she finds her peace. All right, now let's dive into the heart of what makes Elara Dawnshadow such a well-rounded character. Her ability scores. These numbers shape how she interacts with the world, both in and out of combat. First up is strength. She's got a solid 13 here, giving her a +1 modifier. While she's not the strongest out there, it's enough to handle those short swords in a pinch and pull off some athletic maneuvers. Next is where Elara really shines, dexterity. With a score of 16, that gives her a +3 modifier, which boosts everything from her armor class to her stealth and ranged attacks. She's quick, agile, and can strike from a distance with precision, perfect for a ranger. Then we've got Constitution, sitting at 14, which gives her a +2 modifier. That's going to help with her hit points and ability to endure tough battles. After all, a ranger needs to be able to outlast the elements and any foes lurking in the woods. Elara's intelligence is a 10, with no modifier here. She's got enough to get by, but her real strength lies in other areas. On to Wisdom, where Elara's got a solid 15, giving her a +2 modifier. This ties into her keen instincts and heightened awareness, making her an excellent tracker and survivalist in the wild. Rangers rely on wisdom for perception, and Elara doesn't miss much. And lastly, charisma at 12 gives her a +1 modifier. While she's not the most charismatic person in a crowd, her quiet confidence and empathy can still sway others when it counts. Now, let's take a look at what Elara brings to the table in terms of proficiencies and skills. She's proficient in light and medium armor, so she can stay quick on her feet while keeping herself protected. Add shields into the mix, and Elara's ready to defend herself in close combat as well. In terms of weapons, She's got proficiency with both simple and martial weapons. Whether she's wielding a bow or a blade, Elara's a force to be reckoned with at both range and in melee. And here's a fun detail. Elara is also proficient with a musical instrument, the pan flute. So when she's not out in the wild defending the forest, she can relax and play a few peaceful tunes. Just imagine her sitting by the campfire after a long day of adventure. Let's talk about saving throws. Elara has some solid defenses when things get tough, especially in strength and dexterity, where her proficiencies give her an extra boost. That's a +3 in strength and a +5 in dexterity, making her great at dodging danger and resisting physical challenges. She's also got a +2 in constitution, helping her shake off anything that might try to wear her down. And with wisdom at +2, her keen instincts help her keep her cool in tricky situations. Of course, her intelligence and charisma saves aren't quite as strong. They sit at +0 and +1 respectively. But hey, when it comes to staying sharp and quick on her feet, Elara's got it covered. Finally, let's look at languages. Elara speaks Common and Elvish. That's right, she can communicate with both humans and elves with ease, which gives her a cultural edge when navigating the diverse communities of the world. Now let's get into Elara Dawnshadow's skills. These are the abilities that really define how she interacts with her environment, handles challenges, and navigates the wilds. First up, we've got nature. Elara's got a +2 in this skill, which means she's no stranger to recognizing plants, animals, and natural phenomena. Whether it's knowing which berries are safe to eat or identifying tracks, Elara's knowledge of the natural world is a valuable asset to any party. Next, we have athletics. With a +3 in strength-based athletic feats, Elara is more than capable of climbing rocky cliffs, swimming across rivers, or leaping over obstacles with ease. When it comes to physically demanding challenges, she's got the skills to power through. Then we have one of Elara's strongest skills, perception. With a +4, thanks to her wisdom, her senses are incredibly sharp. Whether it's spotting hidden enemies or noticing tiny details in the environment, Elara is the one who catches things that others might miss. This skill is crucial for detecting threats before they strike. Speaking of sharp, let's talk about her stealth. With a +5 in dexterity, Elara is incredibly skilled at moving silently and staying hidden. Whether she's sneaking past guards or setting up an ambush, you can count on Elara to remain unseen until the perfect moment to strike. And finally, we've got survival, another of her key wisdom-based skills. With a +4 in this area, Elara can track creatures, forage for food, and find her way through the toughest terrain. Out in the wild, she's in her element, ensuring the safety of her allies in even the harshest conditions. All right, now let's gear up and take a look at the equipment that makes Elara Dawnshadow ready for any adventure. First up, her weapons. Elara carries a trusty longbow, perfect for picking off enemies from a distance with deadly accuracy. And when the battle gets up close and personal, she's got not one, but 2 short swords at the ready. Whether at range or in melee, Elara is always prepared to face whatever comes her way. For armor, she keeps it light with leather armor. This gives her protection while still allowing her to stay agile. After all, a ranger needs to move quickly through the wild. Now here's a fun twist. Elara isn't just about combat. She also carries a pan flute. When she's not tracking foes or protecting the forest, she can play a peaceful tune by the fire. It adds a touch of personality to her gear and shows her connection to more than just survival. In her quiver, she's stocked with 20 arrows, always ready for a long-range fight. And she's got an explorer's pack, filled with essentials like rope, torches, and rations, everything she needs for life in the wilderness. Oh, and she's carrying a small pouch with 10 gold pieces. Not a fortune, but enough to restock her supplies when needed or pay her way through a town if she ever wanders into one. Now let's dive into some of Elara's class features, starting with her favored enemy beasts. This gives her an edge when tracking wild animals or recalling useful information about them. She's got advantage on survival checks to track beasts and on intelligence checks to remember important details about them. Whether it's hunting down a predator or navigating animal territories, Elara is in her element when it comes to the natural world. Speaking of being in her element, Elara's also a natural explorer, with forests being her favored terrain. When traveling through the woods, she and her companions can move faster without getting lost, find food and water with ease, and avoid common dangers. For her, the forest isn't just a place to pass through, it's home. Now let's take a step back and explore how Elara became the ranger she is today. Her journey begins with a tragic loss, but it's shaped who she is and the path she's chosen. From her childhood to her days with the Ironclaw Brigade, Elara's backstory reveals the depth of her character and the decisions that have brought her to where she is now. Elara Dawnshadow was just a child when she was taken in by the Ironclaw Brigade. Orphaned during a brutal raid on her village by marauding bandits, she was found wandering the edge of the forest by the brigade's leader, Captain Thorn, who saw potential in her even at a young age. Raised within their ranks, Elara was trained as a ranger, learning the ways of the wild, survival, and combat from some of the most ruthless and disciplined rangers in the land. Growing up in the Ironclaw Brigade, Elara was instilled with their strict code of strength and dominance over the wilderness. She was taught that survival was paramount, and that the weak perished while the strong thrived. Despite the harsh upbringing, Elara retained a natural empathy and a deep love for the forest, something that set her apart from her fellow rangers, who saw the woods as a resource to be controlled. As she grew older, Elara began to question the brigade's methods. While they claimed to protect the land, she saw the damage they inflicted, poaching game recklessly, burning out rivals, and exploiting the forest's resources without a thought for the long-term consequences. Her sense of justice began to diverge from the brigade's mission, but out of loyalty to Captain Thorn, who had saved her, she remained a loyal member. Everything changed when the brigade clashed with a young wild ranger named Kieran Thornblade. Kieran's family had been killed during one of the brigade's encroachments, and in retaliation, he had declared war on them, hunting down their members one by one. Elara was sent with her unit to track and eliminate him, but during their encounters, something unexpected happened. Kieran and Elara connected on a deeper level. Despite being on opposite sides, Elara could see the pain in Kieran, and it mirrored her own inner turmoil. Kieran was no mere rogue. He was someone who had been wronged by the brigade's ruthless policies, and his thirst for vengeance was born from the same sense of loss she had once experienced. Their encounters were fierce, but beneath the surface, they became a battle of ideals. Kieran sought vengeance, while Elara sought balance and redemption, not only for herself, but also for the brigade she had grown disillusioned with. Over time, Elara began to distance herself from the more brutal elements of the Ironclaw Brigade. Though she was still loyal to Captain Thorn and grateful for being raised by the brigade, she could no longer support their methods. She took on the role of a protector within their ranks, attempting to guide them toward more ethical choices. But her influence was limited. Kieran, meanwhile, saw Elara as the embodiment of everything he hated about the brigade. Her loyalty to them infuriated him, but her empathy and sense of justice intrigued him. Each time they clashed, he saw a glimpse of someone who could have been an ally in another life, someone who might have shared his ideals before the brigade corrupted her. Yet, his hatred for the brigade made it impossible for him to see Elara as anything but an obstacle in his path to vengeance. Elara, torn between her loyalty to the brigade and her growing belief in justice and balance, now walks a dangerous line. She knows that the brigade's methods are wrong, but leaving them could mean losing everything she has ever known. At the same time, her encounters with Kieran have forced her to confront her own beliefs and question whether she can still believe in redemption for herself, for Kieran, and for the Ironclaw Brigade. Her greatest challenge is yet to come. As tensions rise and Kieran's vendetta against the brigade intensifies, Elara must decide where her true loyalties lie, with the people who raised her or with the ideals she knows are right. And in the end, she may be the only one who can save Kieran from fully descending into darkness, or stop him if he cannot be redeemed. And there you have it, Elara Dawnshadow, a ranger with a strong heart, keen instincts, and a story that's sure to inspire your next D&D adventure. Whether it's her sharp aim with a bow or her deep connection to the wild, Elara is a character ready to take on whatever the world throws her way. If you're looking for a unique ranger with a rich backstory and versatile abilities, Elara's the perfect inspiration. And who knows, maybe she'll even join your party on your next adventure. Thanks for joining us today on the Dungeon Master's Bag of Holding. If you enjoyed this dive into Elara's character, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new character breakdown. We've got plenty more D&D content coming your way, so stay tuned and keep rolling those dice. Until next time, happy adventuring.